Good morning, everyone. I think we will get started. I'm Megan Kimatek with ACT, Director of Leadership and Awards. I appreciate everyone's time and effort in attending today. I have a few housekeeping items, and then I will hand it over to our expert panelists for our webinar today. With that, we just want to thank our sponsor today, Zello, who is hosting a publication series, and then this webinar series. This is the first of 5 webinars we'll be doing that relate back to each publication that's being distributed in sponsorship and partnership with Zello. So we are super grateful for their partnership. They're also doing virtual industry tours series related to these topics and a Taking Business to School toolkit. All of this information is posted on our website. You can see the link right here. We just want to thank Zello for their partnership. And this webinar will also be posted on our website as well, the recording, so you can share it far and wide as well. With that, we also have a few other webinars coming up. We hope you'll plan to attend. We've been doing a innovation series and a IAD series. So you can see we have several events coming up related to both topics. So we hope you'll mark your calendar and register for these events on our website. And with that, I am thrilled to introduce Jan Jardine, who is a work-based learning coordinator and CAPS director for Provo City School District in Provo, Utah. She currently serves as the ACT Work-Based Learning Youth Apprenticeship Section Chair. Jan, we're thrilled to have you today. Thank you so much, and I will turn it over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Megan. I'm excited to be able to be here with our 2 panelists. They have a lot of great insight to share with us. So first of all, we have Rick Timmons. Rick was in the U.S. Navy for 6 years, nuclear focus. He spent 40 years in the nuclear industry and retired this past summer. Currently, he works as an environmental sustainability instructor at the Westmech Southwest campus and part-time adjunct professor at Estrella Mountain Community College Energy Program. Rick graduated from St. Leo University. So welcome to Rick. And then I'll introduce Jarrett, and then I'll give them a little bit of time for them to tell about their role. So Jarrett Guy is an administrator for learning systems at Westmech, overseeing campus operations, curriculum and instruction, and professional development. Prior to his current position, he served as founding campus administrator for the Westmech Southwest campus for 6 years, overseeing the development of the state-of-the-art CTE campus. So welcome to Rick and Jarrett. We appreciate you taking some time to be here. If you gentlemen want to just take a minute and tell us a little bit more about your role as it relates to the Palo Verde and Westmech partnership, that would be great.
Sure, I'll go ahead.
Go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here. Again, Jarrett Guy, currently work with Westmech here in Western Maricopa County. And we have several campuses throughout the West Valley and here in Arizona. But today, excited to talk about our partnership at our Southwest campus with Palo Verde. When I came to Westmech is before the campus was even developed. Really, this partnership started years before we even opened the doors of our campus, and developing the partnerships and relationships with Palo Verde, which has remained a cornerstone partnership on the Southwest campus. So I'm excited to see that grow from the ground up and what it still is continuing to grow today. So excited to talk about that.
Kind of the same story was brought into the process prior to we even breaking ground on the school to meet with Westmech and kind of blend industrial and educational ideas. Retired, as you mentioned, from Palo Verde and came to work here. Did a lot of development in the energy program, of course, in the environmental sustainability program.
Wonderful, thank you so much. Maybe one of you could take a minute, if some of our participants haven't read the article that was published, give us a little bit of background onto what we're going to be talking about and some of the questions we're going to be addressing related to this partnership and the program that you started.
Sure. So at our Westmech Southwest campus out in which is located out in Buckeye, Arizona, when we started the campus, we have 14 different career and technical education programs on that campus. But when we opened the campus in the fall of 2016, there was, the impetus for really the development of the campus there. And one of the major partnerships was with Palo Verde Generating Station, which is one of the largest power producers in the state of Arizona, in the country and in the world. And so at that time, there was really this industry need that they came to us to help fill that industry need out there. And so we developed our energy and industrial technology program, which has continued to evolve to this day. And as Rick said, it's evolved into other programming in environmental sustainability and other areas where we're continuing to grow student opportunities in this area. So we've created one of our programs in direct connection, but it's much more than just that one program. It's really a connection across the campus and a connection in the community and getting students prepared for industry.
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, primary focus was energy, develop a program that opens a lot of options. Palo Verde's intent was not that we only open a pipeline to Palo Verde, but develop topics and labs that would help kids enter any industry, that they may choose. So our primary concern wasn't to steal the best talent, although we have. It was mainly to open up opportunities to as many students as we could. As some examples, we've placed IT students. We've placed some students in construction and electrical, and that just continues because local industries and Palo Verde has come to recognize that high school students can obtain the skills to start in industry, including nuclear power.
Very good. Well, we'll go ahead and dive into some questions. Those of you attending, if you have questions as we're going, please feel free to use the chat to put those in. And please make sure you post that addressed to everyone so we all can see and kind of comment and interact together. So with that, Jarrett, this first question I'm going to ask to you specifically to start. The publication discusses how you marketed the program to high school students, but how does the program promote graduates to other industry leaders outside of Palo Verde for hiring students after graduation?
Thank you. Yeah, the energy and industrial technology program, like all of our programs here at Westmech, one of the main avenues that we use to expose students to those opportunities once they finish the program is really through a system of embedded work-based learning opportunities, which is not unique to us at Westmech, of course, but through things like guest speakers and field trips that we take our students on, hosting mock interviews with industry partners for our students. All of those opportunities expose students directly to industry partners from Palo Verde and many other industry sectors, and that's really all of those opportunities are really shaped and molded through our advisory council. And so throughout our conversation today, really the power of an effective advisory council and using that advisory council, not just to inform, equipment and curriculum, which are obviously very important, but really to embed where those opportunities where industry can engage directly with students, which then opens those doors to many different pathways that they may not even realize yet. And like Rick said in the beginning, this was never intended to be kind of a one-way pathway or partnership. And through Palo Verde's clout, if you will, or their respect in the industry, their involvement has really encouraged others to get involved with the program, which has opened, a lot of doors to students. Yeah,
Jared mentioned the advisory committee, and we'll hit on that a lot. Some of these advisory committees have grown, not because we did any direct marketing, but the people that are involved in the advisory committees, which can be executives, presidents of their company, at different functions happen to mention they're part of, a Westmech program, and that just kind of spread. It was a good fire.
Very good. Rick, let me ask this question to you. Palo Verde supports the program through donation of equipment and knowledge of loaned employees. How does Westmech find these donations and employees?
In the beginning, there was some equipment. Any large industry replaces equipment, newer stuff comes in. What we tracked was what things would be beneficial to donate. And when are the good times that our employees may be available to come in and assist. We don't usually ask them to formally teach, but they take part in labs, they do other jobs. And we've encouraged other advisory committee partners to do the same. And they have. And as I said before, the advisory committees have grown because of people discussing their involvement or hiring of, employees. We developed a very unique program called a pre-apprentice, and it's strictly for Westmech students. We can take up to 15. Right now, most of the path goes towards maintenance, but operations and water resources have gotten involved. And we kind of use this as a model when we're talking to other industries that, this is something that's easily done and you can do. It's a paid, I'll say, internship with full benefits for a year. And the kids are just exposed to every job that's available out there. I'm not sure I answered the question totally, but that's my answer.
That's great. Jared, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think we were fortunate in this partnership, which we understand is not always going to happen. We, Palo Verde was committed enough to the partnership that they donated Rick, who's with us here today, now as a Westmech employee, as a fully embedded employee on the campus, to help with program development, help create those connections with those folks as needed to come in and be a part of the program. So we were very fortunate. We understand that's not always possible, but it just shows the level of commitment that that Palo Verde had, not just to be another partner, but to truly be on site and really be embedded on the campus. So as much, whether that's full-time or part-time, I would encourage, we invite industry to be embedded on the campus, whether that's using our facilities, whatever that might look like, so that they do feel truly a part of who we are and not just a guest.
And one thing that stuck out to me as I was reading the publication is, like Rick said, they donated equipment that they were maybe replacing. It maybe wasn't the newest, latest, and greatest, but they found value in teaching that to the students that they could then transfer those skills to whatever industry was using. So I love that. All right, let's go to the next question. Palo Verde was instrumental in creating the successful energy and industry program from the industry side. How was the educational curriculum determined and developed with Palo Verde in conjunction with meeting industry needs? And what are the steps that the program and partner took to implementing this programming?
So I'll start with that question, if that's all right, Rick. I'll from the very beginning, really a couple of years again, before the program even started, there was, I think, to go back, it was really some very high level conversations with our superintendent, as well as the chief nuclear officer at the time at Palo Verde, really taking time in the beginning to kind of create that vision and that connection amongst the partnership. And then from there, it kind of branched down to the folks on the ground really developing the curriculum. Palo Verde was in lockstep with us, as well as other educational partners. We have a community college that also offers programming in this area that was also at that table to make sure that as we were developing curriculum and programming, those opportunities at the post-secondary level would be connected as well. And so really all of us were at the table looking at what are the certifications and curriculum that's currently out there. And then just really started to work kind of backwards and what are the skill sets that we want students to have to go into industry. And then we kind of work backwards to develop the curriculum that way. We landed on a base of NCCER curriculum as a kind of a curriculum base, but we supplement that with a lot of hands-on activities and lab activities that go along with that. So, but really it was a process of lots of meetings, lots of collaboration, and really narrowing down what are the skill sets, what are the knowledge base and the skills that are going to help students to be successful, and then we designed the program that way. We did not have, just as a note, we did not have in Arizona a current program to directly attach to, so we did create a local occupational program to meet these industry needs.
Yeah, Jared, he's got it. I think our biggest part was identifying industry skill sets that would be important across the board to a lot of industries. And then working together to make sure we could meet the Arizona Department of Education's requirements. And then working with the instructors, understanding that it's going to be high school students, not, adults or experienced adults, to try to develop the curriculum in a way that would be relevant to that age level. And the same thing with the labs and the hands-on activities that we would actually do. I think we came up with a pretty good set. And I think the skill set works. NCCR, the National Curriculum for Construction and Educational Reach, there seemed odd because it was construction, but they have a very good curriculum of fundamental knowledge. And it seemed at the time to be the easiest one to implement. So, we were fine with that. It mimicked what we're used to, at least from a training standpoint, with the educational requirements embedded.
And Jarrett, you mentioned that there wasn't a curriculum already in the state of Arizona, so you created one locally. Just thinking as a follow-up to that, have there been any other areas in Arizona that have adopted or added programs similar to what you're doing at Westmech since you created this?
Yeah, we do have, especially at the community college level in Arizona, there's been a big push for several of our community colleges around the state are doing programming in very similar areas to meet this industry need. Not a whole lot at the high school level, but there are certain programs and engineering programs in some of our member district high schools that have embedded some of the basic skill sets in those programming. But most of it's been at the community college level here in Arizona.
Very good. I'm going to do a detour because we have a question from our attendees that I'm going to throw out. So they haven't seen this one before. Do you find that this partnership has led to more opportunities for marginalized groups to access work-based learning? And if so, what elements of the partnership have been most important in facilitating this access?
I'm not sure with the term marginal, but I would say, yes, we've had young women apply and go to jobs at Palo Verde's. We've had a lot of diversity type of students that have entered the workforce there. I think that, everybody that lives in the Valley knows Palo Verde, and first set, that's where the kids want to go. That's what they say. Not everybody's ready to make that move depending on maturity level, but I think along with that, the other people that are part of our advisory committee have opened up a lot of opportunities to a wide diversity of students, not only students who may be AP, those advanced students. I think some of the students that may be on the edge, not considering an educational path. I think all of the programs at all of the campuses, to me, it's just amazing. It's almost daunting the number of paths the kids could choose. I'll put in a little plug for Mark Perner and our career tree. It's just insane going down and look at what the kids have marked, whether it's on a tree or not. They become very aware that there's much more available than they thought.
And I would agree with everything that Rick said. I do think it really has opened up doors to all students. We do have a very diverse population at our Southwest campus, but I think even more than that, because Palo Verde's mission, a key part of their mission is to increase the diversity of their workforce, and many of our partners, because they're at the table talking with us about their industry goals of increasing that diversity. That has helped as we recruit students and especially women into this field, which is a kind of a non-traditional pathway. We really, in the marketing on the front end, Palo Verde's been with our recruiters at events, at recruiting events and college fairs and career fairs, trying to kind of target those different groups who might not even think about this pathway normally. So I really do think it has opened the doors for a lot of students and who might not have sought this pathway previously.
Very good. Thank you so much. How does Palo Verde and Westmech determine what industry equipment and hands-on experience the students encounter? Is it based on what's donated, or and what variety of other businesses are donating material to the energy program? And what have you learned about hands-on learning from the past year and a half?
Well, what I learned is that I don't want everything that they are willing to donate. There's a lot of equipment changes out. What we did was made a connection with our supply chain folks. Anytime they had something available, they would contact me, and I would talk to the program instructors or Jarrett and say, I think this might be something that we would want, or no, it'll just be taking up space. That went from everything from pallets of paper to welding rod that may not met the dates or the requirements that we could use, but certainly our students in welding could use it, to pieces of equipment that, we could or could not use. Early in the beginning, we took almost everything, and it quickly became a little bit of a storage problem, so we got a little picky about it. But since then, a lot of the stuff that's been donated, what I made sure of is that when they filled out their, the C503, the donation form, that they also put the words for use or scrap. So we ended up getting a lot of stuff that we could pull the copper and metal out of, and other components that programs could actually sell and raise some money through their student council type of thing. So it's I would advise anybody to be particular about what they're going to take. Know what the purpose is going to be, know what the size of it is, and if it's got any power requirements, then make sure you know that.
Yeah, and to go back, as far as really defining what those hands-on experiences look like, that really goes back to that during that curriculum development process, we really, it's not solely based on what equipment we have donated. We really defined, based on the curriculum and what industry said, hey, these are the skills we want students to have. And we have, we have training aids in each one of our labs to kind of meet those needs on the mechanical and electrical instrumentation side of learning, as kind of as a base. And then we have, and some of that base includes equipment that's been donated, but also other opportunities for our students to get to get hands-on. So we define what are the skills, what are the essential hands-on learning pieces that are important for students, and then we're able to use all of these different training aids and pieces of equipment to really create those real life experiences for students. I think that's the real the most important value in having some of the equipment that comes from industry is it truly gives students as real of an example as possible to take those basic skills they've learned and now apply them to a real application from industry.
In the last year and a half, as we have many of us shifted back and forth from in-person to online and both, how did that affect your program and what did you learn from that experience?
I know what I learned as instructors, I wasn't prepared. Online learning is just different. Obviously, you know, we're so much hands-on, it really impacted us. You know, I think Gerald talked about it a bit. Our goal was to just try to get students back as quickly as we could, given, you know, state mandates or district mandates. We were able to get through, you know, the classroom portion and just kept that going until we knew we'd be able to get back hands-on. I don't want to see it again.
Yeah, it's I think as anyone in CTE, we know it's not an ideal environment when we don't have those students there in person learning hands-on. But you know, we learned some things very quickly, how to utilize some of the different technology out there. We use Google Classroom here at Westmech mainly, and got teachers up to speed in kind of emergency mode to use that as a tool to have students interact with curriculum and videos and material and do the absolute best we could without having students there in person. And, you know, we have learned a lot. We have learned how those different technologies that we probably would not have, you know, jumped into feet first unless we had to. We now are able to, you know, find those new technologies and those resources out there that we can still use, of course, in conjunction with the hands-on learning that can never be replaced, of course. But so we are as a system, it's forced us to really look at, you know, development more of a learning management system with some more consistency where, again, hopefully we don't ever have to go fully online again, but we can use those technologies to help enhance our programs in different ways and have students interact with material, you know, from anywhere. Those are all things we've learned and we hope to use those to our advantage in the future.
Thank you. I agree with you. I hope we never have to do that again, but we have learned a lot from that. Okay, another question from one of our attendees. How have your teacher roles changed, if at all, related to the partnership? I'm wondering about the day-to-day roles of the educators related to the partnership and how their roles may have changed related to the work.
I don't think it has changed a lot. You know, our instructors in the industry have a certain path that, you know, they become an instructor. And as we worked with Westmech, we learned that not a whole lot of difference between behaviors, what we expect in the classroom, and what's going on. I think if there's any change as I go and would watch some of the other instructors is, and we're lucky, a lot of our instructors are industry, you know, they come from the industry. There's a lot of discussion about industry, what goes on, how is this topic relevant to what you would be doing, maybe down to a specific job. I think Westmech already had a really good set of standards for, you know, behavior and dress code and expectations in the classroom that fairly closely monitored at least Palo Verde. I think some of the industries I've interfaced with. So it wasn't really an issue once we looked at that. Yeah, it was already close, and I don't think a lot changed other than more places to insert industry and how what the kids are learning is associated with that.
Great, thank you. All right, how about your students that have graduated from the program? Do students who have graduated return to assist with classroom instruction or share success stories to current students?
Both Jared and I will smile when we hear that. I think I've seen, you know, after 6 years or so, I think I've seen them all return, either just to drop in and say how they're doing, what they're doing, or how they can be a part of it. You know, we have a young man at Palo Verde that's in water resources. He's actually on our advisory committee, Xavier Gonzalez. They want to be a part of it. They want to share their experiences with the new students. They want to share their success with them. So we see them quite a bit. I mean, I have some students that return. They don't want to get in front of the classroom, right? That's just what they don't want to do. But they'll come around and they'll just talk with the students one-on-one or walk around the classroom when they come. It's really pretty amazing. And I can't say that I've done anything that prompts that, but they continue to want to be a part of the Westmech experience and try to make that better for the students we have now.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's very exciting to see. I think it speaks to the culture that we have created on the campus, and that, as you see from the great instructors that we have, that's what creates that culture where students want to be involved. They see the value because they're now out there working in industry. We also stay connected with our students through our career services department. We always try to encourage and leave that door open so that after students finish our program, we pass around job leads to them. We help them, you know, if they still need to work on their resume or they've got an upcoming interview that they need to work on. They come back and get support in those areas from our instructors, and so I think they want to see the growth in the program. They feel invested, but they also know they can come back and get support and encouragement, and pass that on to future students that are now in the program. So that's probably the most exciting part of our job, to see them come back and carry that on.
Yeah, they may not admit it, but they're still searching for a little help with life skills. You know, they get a good job and all of a sudden they're talking new car, new house, blah, blah, blah. And I think it's a good opportunity for the instructor to sit and say, look, you know, let's cool your jets a little bit, do this, you know. And so it's just fun to see them growing outside of our programs.
Very good. You know, one line that stuck out to me as I was reading the publication, it mentioned that Palo Verde employees regularly come to the classroom and help students with projects and activities, often even for extended periods of time. Were the employees initially on board with that? What was their take on having those interactions with students?
Oh, absolutely. You know, we've got some people with 25, 30 years of experience, and every opportunity I think I've given them to interface with the high school students, they just love it. It's kind of good for them because they're not an instructor of note. They can just come in and interface, pass some knowledge on. We've got a project going on right now to get the flow loop running, a piece of equipment that Palo Verde donated some years back, and we probably had 10 from all disciplines, a total of 10. And they were kind of concerned about the work that we were going to have to do. But what we talked about is, you know, send out less people and we'll make up the crew. We can do the work as long as we have somebody that has the knowledge to help out with them. But they absolutely love the opportunity they can get to interface with the high school students. And I think that goes throughout the program. all of the programs. You know, I see guests coming back and forth to participate in various programs that we have on campus.
Yeah, and there definitely has to be a willingness on both sides. I think from the education side, you know, you have to be willing to truly open your doors to industry, and you know, and sometimes that's out of the norm, or sometimes that may be a little bit uncomfortable for some, but you truly have to open those doors, and we there's direct connections, but also, I mean, there's a lot of industry that we really haven't talked about. Palo Verde and other industries, they train on our campus as well. So we open up space, the same labs that our students are learning in, where they're coming to do industry training in. And so so they're on campus, they see our students, so they're that level of being comfortable with those interactions that happen more naturally start to develop. And again, but yeah, you've got to be willing to invite industry in and then welcome them in. And once they see that opportunity for themselves, there's much more willingness to be there. And then of course that leads to direct connection with students.
Yeah, if any industry folks are listening, we work this out by putting this into our work schedule, right? No industry can just ad hoc say, okay, we're going to pull Joe and let him go down to school because you've lost work. So if I would call them and say, hey, we got this going on, it'd be nice to have one of the electrical technicians here. They will schedule that into their normal work schedule so that they can accommodate that.
That's great. I think that's the important piece that sometimes is missing. Like, oh, well, it'd be nice to go help, but when you make time, then it actually happens. So that's great. Now, both of you have mentioned your advisory council a couple of times. Can you tell us a little bit about where that started, who you chose to have on that, and then how it's evolved and where you're at now and how you utilize that advisory council?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's a requirement of the program, you know, to establish an advisory committee. And it's actually kind of fun. In our class here in environmental sustainability, the students attend virtually and the advisory committee attends virtually. And they get a chance to interface with kids. One of the, you know, we talk about how can we improve the program? What is it that we could do for our industry partners? They review the program. They're constantly updating me on what the changes in the industry might be and how can we accommodate that in the program. I think their favorite part of the meeting is the kids, and I'll admit it, and I require them to do it, have to come up with questions for our industry partners. Probably the first 3 or 4 meetings, you know, it looks scripted, but now that the students have met the advisory committee, they feel comfortable with them, they're coming up with a lot different questions.
Yeah, and the advisories have evolved over time, as of course as they should. In the beginning, at least in our energy program, really it was just kind of, it started small, but with some of the major partners, like obviously with Palo Verde, APS, Estrella Mountain Community College, one of our local community colleges that was doing some work in this area, and continues to do that as well. But that's expanded. We have representation from, you know, SRP, from a lot of, and since the program developed, we really, in our area, there's a huge growth in advanced manufacturing in a lot of different sectors. And so as those partners have come on board, as those companies have located to the West Valley, we continue to engage more and more of those partners, you know, as those opportunities available for our students. So yes, it continues to evolve, but that foundation, I think, remains solid. But there's a willingness by everyone on that council to always be looking at, you know, what are the new skills out there? What are new ways for opportunities to get involved with our students? And then again, getting them to actually interact directly with our students. I mean, we really, yes, we have our formal meetings, 3 times a year with advisory councils, but if it stops at that, then we're really not getting that, the bang for the buck. It really is those opportunities outside of the meeting to engage directly with our students. And then that's where we find industry to get excited. I don't know how many people get excited for a meeting. I mean, it's important stuff that happens, don't get me wrong, but they're a lot more excited to hear from students, get to interact with students, and pass on their knowledge. They pass on their knowledge and impact others. Everyone has the desire to do that we found. So that's where we see the power of our advisory council.
Yeah, you have to be flexible. You have to understand some of the people we're dealing with are pretty busy on a day-to-day basis, but they've been very good. That's why we went to 2 virtual meetings and 1 in person a year. Not all of them can always make it, even though it's 3 meetings, but they see our students as potential employees. So they're very interested in, we update them on what we've covered, and they all talk about something that they did in it. And we're trying long-term to work towards, if everything, all the stars align, what is it we can do for you? Are there opportunities that the students can actually come out and participate in something? But there's age requirements and various things that may slow that down.
That's great. So with that in mind, how can other industry leaders who view a gap in their fields in recruitment and enrollment make a short-term and long-term difference for their industry needs? And how do they go about identifying an educational partnership like you guys have?
Yeah, being from industry and training for a long time and suffering through this age of mass retirement, because not everybody's as young as me, as George. Pipelines became a very hot topic. Where do we find qualified people, especially in technical fields? Those pipelines are drying up. So I think as Palo Verde are a little innovative in looking at high school age and saying, what can we do to prepare these kids to enter our field? It's a new pipeline. You have to jump in. You got to do a little research. If you're lucky, somebody from a CTE program comes knocking on your door, or you go attend something where somebody's presenting something, but you have to be a little proactive in seeking it out as industry. And I think on the CTE end, we need to be a little proactive and maybe reaching out to folks, because maybe industry is not growing as much as it is in our area and other places, but those businesses are there, and I can guarantee you that they need a pipeline. Our biggest mantra had always been, just give me a good person and I can train what to do. So if there's a good base of standards and expectations at a CTE, that's what you're going to get. Westmech has proven that time and time again. All our industry partners have been pretty happy with the students, that they've got, but it just takes a little work on both parties to reach that point. And sometimes industry get stuck in a rut and say, we normally get our people from the union, or we get them from the military, or we get them here. They just need to think outside the box a little bit.
Yeah, and I think the other piece that I think is important from an educational side that we've learned is really anytime we sit down with industry, they want technical skills, they want a pipeline, but more than anything, they want those professional and employability skills, soft skills, whatever you want to call them. Those are critically important to our industry partners. And so I think it's always important to make sure that those are, of course, embedded with all the programs, but those really are a foundation. in those conversations with industry, and because we can't create programming with the exact, skills that are going to, train 100% of the employees for everyone in our arena. They're always going to have to do some additional training after entry level. But if they have that base of professional skills and communication and the ability to go out and learn and have a foundation to learn from, and industry sees that, they will come back for more. I mean, they will come back to seek out those students in whatever program that it is that students are offered. So I think it's important to always, in addition to the technical skills and content, the professional skills that are truly embedded, and put those at the forefront when speaking with industry, because those are so important to them.
Can you share a little more, Jarrett, about how you embed those professional skills into your curriculum and what that looks like for students?
Sure. Yeah. So we all of our programs, we do embed. In Arizona, we have workplace employability standards, they're called, but are essentially those professional skills standards that we embed within the scope and sequence of all of our programs. And in addition, another layer this year, we've worked to define those even further. So we've developed a professional skills rubric for our programs, where we really try to narrow down those critical, what are those core professional skills, and define those in even some more detail to have some consistency across programs. And then I think it's just making it a priority. And as we revisit our curriculum every year with our programs, that's in addition to the technical skills, we also look at those professional skills and where those are embedded. How do we, as we're building work-based learning opportunities, as we're doing mock interviews with students with our industry partners, we're reviewing those professional skills and having that outside eye on those. And so it's just making it part of what we do every day. And it's something we're always looking to evolve. Again, just in the last year and a half, we really found a need to provide even more focus on those professional skills and defining them even further for our students and our instructors, and consistency across the district. So it's always an area that's on our mind and on the forefront, but I think it's putting the value in that, actually embedding it within the curriculum, within our scope and sequence throughout the year, so that it's not just we say we do it, we really have intentionality in teaching those standards to students, and then having them self-assess and measure themselves against those standards.
Yeah, I mean, from the classroom part, everything is there. But with the high school students, what I found was it's not quite the same as adults. Adults understand standards and expectations. To keep this job, this is what I have, how I have to act, and the things I have to do. So you have to make it very, very visual for them. It's part of our work orders in the labs. We teach them right along with safety almost first thing. These are what these terms mean. This is why we do them. And I would say about mid-semester, the first semester, they're getting it. We create standards and expectation monsters, where they're pointing out things. So it's a development of that culture and having them understand why, we do these type of things and why they're important. I think after the first semester, we're pretty much on auto. One of the things that we do is we, in energy and in environmental sustainability, we calculate professional points. But at the beginning of the week, they start out with a certain number of professional points. If they do things that are outside the standards and expectations, they lose those points and they're unrecoverable, and it affects their grade. So they become very aware of that. But after one semester, especially in a 2-year program, they're driving that culture, and that's what you want. Right?
That's incredible. My last question, and then again, if anyone that's attending has a question, please feel free to put that in the chat or the Q&A. As you were talking about how industry leaders and make these connections. How did you overcome some of the barriers that sometimes are inherent? Like, there's not a program like that here, so I guess we can't do that. Or there's an age requirement limit, so I guess we can't do that. How do you overcome some of those inherent barriers?
You know, one thing that really helped, I think Jarrett and I were, and really everybody involved, the people from industry and education, we didn't see anything as being a barrier. There was always a way to work something out. There was always a way to communicate together to work out a potential barrier. But I know for Jarrett and myself on campus, there wasn't a barrier that was going to stop us from doing something we thought was going to be beneficial for the students. You know, if you get in a rut and you just accept that, then there you go. There's a barrier and you're not going to do it.
Yeah. And I think it goes back to just, and Rick just stated it there, going back to just having a common vision of just, you know, creating that student success. And if that's the common with industry, and in this example, this partnership, that's what their vision was. That's what our vision was from the very beginning when we developed the partnership. And so, you know, of course there's barriers, of course there's challenges along the way. But if everyone's focused on that bigger picture and that bigger vision, then, you know, you find ways to work through it and get creative and find innovative ways to do different things that, and be willing to try something. And then if it doesn't work, try something different. And we've had to do a lot of that. This hasn't been, you know, it's been a lot of trial and finding what works and you know, shifting gears when needed. And so I think it's just, you know, centering on that common vision and being able to be flexible and willing to work through those things together. And then, you know, communicate with your key partners as you're evolving through those challenges and figure out a way to make it happen.
Thank you so much. That's great. Are there any other questions from our attendees? A minute. Okay, if we have some pop in, Jarrett, Rick, do you have any final comments that you want to share with our group?
You know, I think Jarrett said it well. You can always work through something. Don't let some problem or okay, I'm a rule breaker, some current rule or the way something is set up. Just because we used to do it that way, don't mean we have to continue to do it that way. And it can be frustrating. It can take some time. You know, I used to say nuclear power moves at the speed of molasses till I came into education. But if you continue at it and you take responsibility for it, it happens. And as long as you keep that bigger vision, is it good for the students? You know, it kind of keeps the fire alive.
Yeah, I just, you know, thank you for the opportunity. Of course, I want to publicly thank Rick Timmons. I mean, you can see you've got to find to make all of these partnerships work and to be successful. You find the key partners, but you find instructors as well and teachers who are willing to see that bigger vision and be able to do the right thing for students and work through those challenges. And if you have that, then you can create success for students and then highlight those opportunities as we've shared throughout this, you know, those success stories and invite students back and highlight those successes, and they'll continue to grow and create more opportunities. So it's never, as we talk through this partnership, we understand, I completely understand that, you know, the level of partnership that we've created here in this program may not be the partnership to that level in all the programs out there, but the core fundamentals and creating that common vision and creating opportunities for industry to be truly a part of the program, I think is the key, whether, you know, starting very small and that can grow to a much larger scale. But I think that's the importance and keeping that vision of always what's best for students. And we know We know these opportunities are going to open doors for students and put them on a pathway to economic independence and success. And if we always keep that in mind, then we can't ever lose.
Yeah, this, for industry folks, this has been a success for us, right? We've opened the pipeline. We can take, whatever kudos we get from saying we're involved in the community, all things that the kind of light you want on your company. We're involved in the community, we're providing jobs, we're helping. And I think some industry folks out there, especially if there's some industry that may not be viewed in the best light because of what it is, this is an excellent opportunity to change that.
Wonderful. Jarrett and Rick, thank you so much for being willing to come here and spend an hour with us, sharing some of your wisdom in the program that you've developed. I know that I have some good takeaways and kind of just like what you said, Jarrett, find someone who's passionate about helping create a future for students that will lead right into the careers that they're in. And you've got a recipe for success, or at least a start. So thank you, gentlemen. I'm going to turn it back over to Megan, but one more last shout out to Zello. Thank you for sponsoring and working through this webinar series.
Thanks, Jan. And I just want to piggyback our gratitude from ACTE to Rick and Jared and you, Jan. We really appreciate all your expertise and sharing best practices and examples today. And also, as you mentioned, to Zello for sponsoring this entire event. So we are just really grateful on our end to really be promoting these great programs in CTE. So thanks, everyone, for attending. And also, this recording will be posted on our website. So be sure to share it far and wide with your colleagues. So anyways, thanks again, everyone. And we will see you on our next webinar.